Hey everyone, it's Tom Crowdson with another Rockstar Minute. I'm out here this morning. It's a little bit cooler than I thought, so I'm keeping a pretty brisk pace. So I'm going to make this quick. We have two things to tackle. The first is Airbnb. The second is how we look at gold and silver during transactional financial events. So the first thing is on Airbnb. We get two different scenarios, two different questions a lot. The first, if you're not familiar, here's what some people are doing in Toronto. Is some people are renting condos from a landlord, and then what they do is they list the condo on Airbnb and they rent it out for short-term rentals, and they manage that whole process, and they collect more in rent from renting it out through short-term rentals on Airbnb than they owe the landlord every month. So they're net positive. So they've basically rented something, they're renting it out for more than they rented it for, and they're generating more income. And you know, there's a lot of talk of people doing this kind of stuff. There's a lot of concerns. There's no real Toronto regulations around this right now, but there's talk of some coming. There is insurance concerns to be aware of. There are condo bylaws to be aware of. So this isn't something that we would really recommend unless maybe, you know, you really know the condo bylaws, you get permission from the landlord that you're doing this and you're not doing it behind their back. So there's just too many complications for us to think that's a good way to generate positive cash flow on a property. And there's some people looking at doing this as a way to buy Toronto condos that won't cash flow positively and do it for themselves. So instead of doing it as the middleman, buying the condo as the investor and then renting it out purely on Airbnb for short-term rentals. And is that a way that they can generate positive cash flow? The reason that we don't necessarily like that is that you're still stuck with the same things. You have insurance concerns, you have condo bylaws you got to deal with, and condo security concerns you got to deal with, people coming and going all the time and handing off different keys and such. And the regulations that are coming could change some of the ease of doing this. So if you're buying a Toronto condo with that plan in mind today. So, people are doing this kind of stuff. Is it for us? Not necessarily a strategy we would use. However, if you had a single family home and maybe you were living in the top of it and you were renting out the bottom as short-term rentals through Airbnb to generate extra income, absolutely, because I don't have the condo board, I don't have security issues to deal with the building. I can get the proper insurance for this. So much different strategy, and we know lots of people doing that very successfully, and that'd be something that we would do ourselves. But the whole condo angle, at this stage in our lives, not for us. We can respect the hustle that's involved in pulling that off, and as long as you're getting permission from the landlord if you're doing it and you're checking out the condo bylaws, maybe something you want to explore, but way too complicated, too many potential downfalls for us to even think about getting involved in that kind of stuff. Now, the second thing that comes up a lot is people will hear us talk about gold and silver, and we'll get a lot of heat for that. Some people love it, other people just give us a lot of heat for it and say, hey, you guys are missing the whole Bitcoin bandwagon. And they don't understand that why we're buying gold and silver, because the argument that we'll hear a lot is during any sort of financial crisis, and if you're some kind of doomsdayer, which we're not, we just like to plan for every possible event. But if you have your gold and silver, when a financial event happens that would shut down the financial markets or shut down day-to-day transactions, if you take it right to the extreme, how are you going to use your gold and silver to buy food? And it's just not practical. And that's not why we're buying gold and silver. Gold and silver doesn't solve the problem of day-to-day transactions during a financial crisis. What it does do is during any sort of financial crisis, we feel, and this is our belief, no one has to agree with this, that it will do a good job of protecting our purchasing power, protecting our wealth through that type of event. And that's why we believe some small portion of your whole net worth probably deserves to be in gold and silver, because to us, it's an insurance policy on the rest of our financial assets. That's all it is, and that's how we look at it. But Bitcoin or other means of transacting might do much better for the day-to-day transactions in any type of event like that. But the gold and silver, we believe, is an insurance policy on the rest of our financial assets. So hopefully that's clear. We're not looking at to replace daily transactions. Totally does not solve that problem in our lives. That's something else that you need to take care of. So hopefully you find some of that useful. Until next time, your life, your terms.